Second time in one day, welcome back to the George Benson football channel. Yes guys, this is the Chelsea versus Lille match preview. This match is absolutely, it's gargantuan, it's ginormous, it's huge, whichever way you want to look at it. This is a big bloody game, this one. Chelsea cannot rely on Ajax to do a result against Valencia. I mean, what did I just say? Ajax to do a result. I mean, it's been a flipping long day. We've already posted one vid, if you haven't seen 6 things we learned from Everton, and you want to relive the madness and the shock horror that was that awful performance, watch the previous video. But I'm not going to sit here and say to you, oh, Ajax will probably beat Valencia, so we could probably scrape. No. We're not going for a draw. Tomorrow night at Stamford Bridge, I want to hear the fans going mental. I want to see an iconic night at Stamford Bridge under the lights where Chelsea win comfortably with a confident performance from players that may not have been playing at their best recently. I want to see tactical decisions from Lampard that are brave, that will put us in to a position to fight for a place in the last 16 of the Champions League. It is the most elite competition in club football. The Champions League is what every single club in Europe aspires to win. One of the happiest days in my life is when we won it in 2012. Knockout football in the Champions League is like nothing else. The only thing you can compare it to is a last 16 or a quarter-final game in a World Cup. And as a Chelsea fan who invests everything I have into the club, I need to see us on the biggest stage in the last 16. And if we don't manage to get a result against Lille and we end up going into the Europa League, we have only got ourselves to blame. Our away form in the Champions League this season has been brilliant. We managed 7 points out of a maximum 9 in this Champions League group. We were beaten thanks to a Ross Barkley missed penalty and a really poor performance at home to Valencia. We got the 4-4 draw against Ajax, which was one of the most emotional rollercoaster footballing affairs you'll ever see. But again, against 9 men for the last 10-15 minutes, Chelsea should have won it. And now we're in a position where the pressure is well and truly on. That being said, pressure is something that Chelsea Football Club have always thrived under. When we're put under the spotlight, Chelsea often find a way to deliver. Now, if we look at all of the fixtures in this group, the home match against Lille is probably the one that if you were to ever put a banker on Chelsea getting 3 points, even though it's the Champions League and there's no such thing as an easy game, this one would have been the one that you'd have said is probably the most likely to get a win. Why else do I think this will happen? So the good news for Lille, in Chelsea's case, is that Lille can't get out of this group. They can't even get into the Europa League because Ajax are on 10 points, Valencia are on 8, Chelsea are on 8, Lille are struggling down in 1. So in theory, this game is just a formality for Lille. They're going to want to put on a performance for their travelling support, but it doesn't matter. If they win 6-0, it doesn't actually hold any real place in history as being important, to be quite honest. So the good news is that Lille also have a game in Ligue 1 on Friday night. So the chances are they're probably going to rest some players because the league games in France right now are far more important in the context of their season than it is right now in the Champions League. So all of the positives that we could possibly think about, this being the perfect fixture for us to end the group in and try and get out of it, that has got to be a big one as well, that Lille are going to have their eyes on other matches, whereas Chelsea, I flipping hope so anyway, everything needs to be channeled into making this a special night at Stamford Bridge. We need to win. I don't want to see us being tentative. I want to see us running at the Lille defence. I want to see us shooting when we get an opportunity from outside the box. I don't want to see us trying to walk the ball into the back of the net, which is something that has crept into our play in recent weeks. The game against Aston Villa was a bit different. When Mason Mount scored that volley, we saw him trying to shoot from different areas. We saw Chelsea trying to pop shots away to challenge Tom Heaton, and it was as if we were playing with confidence again, which I think recently has been few and far between. We've not had enough confident performances, and it's as if going forward, we've lost a bit of tenacity. We've lost a bit of belief in what we can do as an attacking side. So that being said, I want to build my Chelsea team right now in this match preview. We're going to start with the goalkeeper. Questions are being asked by a lot of people, rightly so, about Kepa's future as Chelsea number 1. We broke our transfer record. We spent 72 million, a world record fee for a goalkeeper, to bring Kepa to Stamford Bridge at the time, of course. Now, Kepa's made some big saves this season. We've seen him over his time at Chelsea. He's made some big saves and he's won us points. But what Kepa doesn't seem to be doing right now is building upon his big saves. He's still making errors. The defence has been nothing short of a catastrophe for the duration of this season. I put this tweet out yesterday, which people thought I was being a bit harsh. People thought I was trying to like banter my own club, but to be honest, sometimes you just got to laugh at these things because otherwise we'll all be sat here getting flipping angry every day, and I don't want that. So it was just a proper gross bit of banter, to be honest. Kepa's the number one goalkeeper. He starts in goal. Moving in to the defence. Now I'm going to make some changes for this one. We have to make some changes for this one because what we saw against Everton, it wasn't acceptable. It's not good enough from Chelsea. Reece James, for me, despite defensive errors and despite a naivety from a defensive sense sometimes from Reece, he's so good going forward. He's so strong, and I think he's got such a bright future. I say this in every flipping video. Reece James just turned 20 years old. He's the right back. Moving into the centre-back pairing. Now, this is a tough one. Rudiger's been back in training. There has been a massive outcry for Rudiger to appear in this game from virtually all of Chelsea's fan base on Twitter because he's fit and because of what was just a show, to be honest, from Christensen and Zuma at the weekend. So Rudiger has to play this game for me at right centre-back. Now, there's some bad news here because I wanted to partner him with Tomori. If you watch the 6 Things I Learned video, or We Learned video from what I posted earlier today, I said that the Rudiger-Tomori partnership has got to be something we see in this game because Zuma and Christensen didn't really cover themselves in glory in the result at Goodison Park. However, supposedly, Tomori didn't train today. Now, it's the day before a match day. He didn't feature in the game at Everton, and the fact that he's not trained can only be because of an injury, which means that Tomori is probably not going to be available for selection. What does that mean to who partners Rudiger in centre-back? I would have said Christensen because he's a more natural choice in the left centre-back position, but I don't think his performance against Everton was good enough for me to sit here with any confidence whatsoever and say that I want him to be my centre-back for a game that could define the context of where Chelsea's season goes from here. Zuma is not a left centre-back, he's a right centre-back, but his ability on the ball and his strength against the striker, Lille striker Osimhen, is a bit of a beast. He's a big man, he's a good player, he's having a very good season, and I think with Rudiger coming back into things, partnered alongside Zuma, who I think over the duration of the season has been our most consistent defender, despite a couple of really bad performances at the top end of the season and the game against Everton. I think statistically, Zuma didn't have a bad game against Everton, but it was the things that just, we won't talk about it anymore. I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I'm looking forward to this one. So Zuma to partner Rudiger at the back. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Tomori, from what I understand, is not going to be selected for the game tomorrow night due to some sort of injury. I might be reporting that wrong. There are definitely much better people in the know than me with what goes on at the training ground. But from what I understand, Tomori didn't train, so making a preview, I don't think he's going to play. So there's an argument for both Azpilicueta and Emerson at left back. Some people have said, what about Alonso? Well, Alonso's not even been in the squad for a lot of Frank's recent picks, so I'm just going off of what I think is most likely and what I think would be the strongest option. So with Azpilicueta, what do you get? You get probably a more rounded defender than Emerson. You also get a leader, the captain. He's had a very great career at Chelsea. That's it. Emerson, what you get is a player who, before the international break, was probably one of our best players this season. He had a couple of average performances. He's lost his place in the team due to Reece James coming in at right back and Azpilicueta being a fundamental part of this Chelsea setup, sticking him on the left. But I would go with Emerson in this game. I think going forward, he does offer us a lot. Sometimes his final decision making isn't great, but from what we saw from Pulisic's fitness in particular, Hudson-Odoi has not had that many minutes recently. I think having a left back that is very good going forward and overlapping whoever it is playing on the wing, I think it could be a great outlet for Chelsea to score some goals, create some opportunities in this one. Now moving forward, I'm going with a 4-3-3 for this game, and Kovacic for me, despite he looked tired, but he's irreplaceable right now. He's playing so well. He's been the difference maker for Chelsea in recent games. Kovacic starts in the middle. N'Golo Kante, he starts alongside him. And Jorginho, that leader, comes back into the Chelsea team. He's not played recently, and I think that might be down to a couple of what I would consider average Jorginho or poor Jorginho performances, but a lot of that is down to Kante being very rarely a justifiable omission from the side, and Kovacic's great form. Kovacic has started scoring goals. There's not really any way right now that Frank can justify removing him from the side, so for this one against Lille, I would go with 3 in the middle. I would go with all 3 of those players, and I think this is the kind of game where Jorginho's leadership could be vital for Chelsea. Picking passes, finding the wingers, and we're going to move into the wingers now, where Lille have got nothing to play for. I think the stage has been woken for Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's not had many minutes in recent weeks. He's lost his place in the side because Frank wants to see more. and because of Pulisic's good performances. Callum Hudson-Odoi, this is his time to deliver for Chelsea on the biggest stage. We're being linked with wingers like Jadon Sancho. We're being linked with players like Wilfried Zaha, who could play anywhere across the front line. Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's signed a new deal. Just because he's the golden boy, the local lad from Wandsworth, been Chelsea since birth, none of this matters in the grander context of the future of Chelsea Football Club. If Hudson-Odoi isn't playing well enough, it doesn't mean he's guaranteed a starting place and he's guaranteed to be a part of this Chelsea team moving forward. He's lost his place to Pulisic. This is his chance, I'm telling you. Hudson-Odoi will feature a huge role in this game for Chelsea. He came on against Everton, he was playing out on the right-hand side, nowhere near as good as what he can do on the left. Christian Pulisic looked tired, so Pulisic drops down to the bench for me in this one. Hudson-Odoi on the left. Tammy Abraham was in training today, which means he will be in contention for the start tomorrow. I can't think of anyone else that I'd play up front than Tammy. I can't justify Giroud because he's not been match fit, and quite frankly, I don't think he's the player that he has been. And I think that in this kind of game where we need to win it, Tammy has an opportunity to score big goals. He got one in the away game, and I think he'll score again tomorrow if he starts for Chelsea. Scored last time out at home against Villa. Tammy starts up top, and then I'm going to go with Willian for the industry on the right-hand side. You could say it could be Pulisic, but he just looks so tired. I cannot sit here with any confidence and say that I think he's fit enough to start this game against Lille. Pedro, he wasn't in the squad for the game against Everton. He's been back training today. Maybe Pedro's in contention, but again, I think we universally agreed here, at least on this channel, that Pedro isn't the player that he was, and that I definitely think that Willian, in this kind of game, we saw him put in a good performance in Lille, scored the winning goal as well, and I think that with Hudson-Odoi on the left, Willian would be the best option for Chelsea on the right wing. It means that Mason Mount drops down to the bench. Again, wasn't his best performance against Everton. To be able to bring on a player like Mason Mount if Chelsea are chasing the game, which hopefully we won't need to be chasing the game, but to bring on someone like Mount who can press highly, inject a bit of energy into the Chelsea team, it could be one of those substitutions that could make a difference for Frank Lampard when we're in need of someone to come on and change the game. So that is my Chelsea lineup for this game against Lille. It's a huge match. I don't want to be playing Europa League football. It was beautiful to go to Baku in May last year and see us lift the Europa League, but it's not the same. The Champions League is the biggest club competition in the world. You got the Club World Cup about to start in Qatar. Liverpool are going there. They've also got to play a game the day before or the day after against Aston Villa in the League Cup. It's not taken as seriously as it should be. The Champions League, it's the holy grail conversation in football terms. Every player wants to win it. Every manager wants to win it. Every club, particularly with the stature of Chelsea, strives to go as far as they possibly can. And if we don't get out of this group, we've only got ourselves to blame for individual errors and not being clinical enough. This Lille team don't have anything to play for. We have got to put them to the sword. I want to see us go out there tomorrow night and win this game comfortably. I want the fans to get behind the team again. There's been a lot of skepticism recently, rightly so, because there's no consistency in Chelsea's performances. We were good against Aston Villa. We weren't great, but we were good. We've been poor in a lot of other matches recently. A lot of that is down to fitness, but all of that, it all comes down to heart for this game against Lille. If these players want to be competing at the top level, they've got to put everything on the line and go out there and get us the 3 points. So let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments down below. Do you agree with my lineup? Would you make any changes to formation or personnel? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to the match tomorrow night, so I'd love to see some of you guys there. Probably going to head over to West London, probably around 5, 6 o'clock. So if you are going to be about, I might be in the Cock Tavern for a beer or so tomorrow, maybe 2, maybe 3, who knows, we'll see. But yeah, huge game. I really pray that Chelsea get the result in this one. If we don't win this, let's just... no, let's not even think about it. I don't want to think about it. Going into a game at home to Bournemouth, it would be a quiet week for Chelsea YouTube, that's for sure. But anyway, going to be starting a brand new series tomorrow where we talk about some transfers, some possibilities, some players that we might sign, we might not sign. Stay tuned for that one. Match vlog will also be out tomorrow evening as well. Come on, you Blues, please get us out this flipping group. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.